People often talk about Star Citizen being an immersive experience, and that's something that can be amplified by use of specialised hardware, like the Tobii Eye Tracker 5 and its head and eye tracking features. You might have seen some of the marketing materials out there, but what does that actually look like in-game, and how might you configure that experience? I'm Forrester, and this video will talk through how I personally use the Tobii Eye Tracker 5 in Star Citizen, along with the settings and experience. Before diving in further, there's a bit of disclosure that needs to happen. Whilst nobody has asked me to make this video or paid me to make it, I am personally part of the Tobii affiliate program, which gives a kickback to the channel when people use the affiliate link to pick up an eye tracker. Whilst the thoughts in this video are my own, I wanted to be upfront about that, so you can decide if you think I might be biased. That said, I bought my own Tobii Eye Tracker 5 with my own cash prior to entering into an affiliate agreement, and do recommend it as hardware, so make of that what you will. But for those reasons, this video is more of a summary and guide rather than a full hardware review. Alright, that all over with, on to the rest of the video. The eye tracker, as the name would suggest, uses clever hardware to work out where your head and eyes are pointing and then translate that into in-game head movement. The idea is that if you look to the left-hand side of the screen, your character in-game also looks to the left. It can be cleverly calculated and calibrated in such a way that you get a different amount of look depending on how much you look with your head and eyes. In-game, you can see the settings I use on the screen. Feel free to pause and take a look if helpful, although the key things I've changed are that I don't automatically disable head tracking during FPS, only during aim down sight. The reason for that is purely because I have a keybind set up to disable head tracking, which I still do most of the time when in FPS combat, but sometimes it's useful to be able to glance around whilst not in the cockpit, although it certainly takes a bit more getting used to. It's possible to tweak the sensitivities etc. for your own preferences. For me, the default all work well. I do however have those keybinds set to be able to quickly toggle head tracking on and off and to recenter. The quick ability to toggle is helpful in case you want to keep the screen facing forwards whilst you check your phone or chat to somebody and then get back into the action when you hop out of quantum travel. And the recenter is more of a quality of life feature if you've adjusted your seat or something and want to force the software to accept the new position right away rather than wait for it to figure it out. In terms of the gameplay impact, it's something that's hard to describe. You essentially have a new control option which gives you much better situational awareness, whether that's in a combat scenario or just for piloting in general. Personally, the head tracking is incredibly useful when landing many ships, for example. Selecting new targets is easier and done with a simple glance before pressing a button to lock up, and new opportunities open up for off-axis missile engagement. This in particular changes the nature of the battlefield for many, and head tracking essentially becomes another axis in which to engage enemies. It can also be used whilst mining or salvaging to point the mining head, although personally I tend to be a bit more laid back during such activities, so tend not to use that feature. The support in Star Citizen is native, which means that the Tobii stuff is all built into the client itself, and that's the ideal, similar to Microsoft Flight Simulator, as it makes the movement all feel more natural and less confusing to configure. Through GameHub software, it is possible to configure the eye tracker for other games like DCS World, although in my experience it takes a little bit more work to get things tuned in, and the native support is far easier and quicker. The Tobii Eye Tracker is certainly expensive, much like other premium hardware, or even some ships in Star Citizen, and it's not required. You can play Star Citizen just fine without it, but it's something that can add a lot to the experience of Star Citizen. And for the many flight sim enthusiasts who would buy expensive joysticks, pedals and throttles, the eye tracker offers something a bit different to complement that experience. It's also worth adding that compared to other hardware I've used in the past, the fact that the eye tracker is always attached to the monitor, ready to go, with nothing hanging off headphones is a real plus. not to mention the fact that it seems to work well in all lighting conditions, and I don't have to worry about blocking sunlight and reflections. Anyway, that's a few of my thoughts, but as many of you have expressed interest in finding out more about how I use the eye tracker, let me know in the comments section if you have any questions. Or if you're using head tracking yourself, I'll be interested to read your thoughts. For those of you who are not yet subscribed to the channel, given that you've got this far, you might like to, so that you can get more videos like this recommended to you in future. And the like button is really helpful in letting me know what videos I should focus on making in the future, so I'll appreciate a click there if you'd like to see more like this. Otherwise, and as ever, thank you for watching.